Yes, I am, Pam.
Okay. Are you going to connect now to YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor and Principal, Professor Nana Poku, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Professor Anna Martin's inaugural lecture. Professor Poku conveys his heartiest congratulations and best wishes to Professor Martins. I would like to acknowledge the following guests who have joined us this afternoon: members of Council, members of the Executive Management, members of Senate, our inaugurant this afternoon, Professor Anna Martins, family and friends of Professor Martins, academics and professional services staff, students, alumni, and distinguished guests of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. I also wish to extend a warm and special welcome to our guests from universities and organizations in South Africa, from the African continent, and across the globe. Inaugural lectures form part of the university's public lecture series and may only be presented by recently appointed full professors in academic schools and centers. Inaugural lectures present an opportunity to showcase the exciting and groundbreaking research and teaching being carried out by professors at our university. Each lecture represents a significant milestone in an academic's career and officially recognizes their promotion or appointment to full professorship. Moreover, the lectures are an ideal opportunity for new professors to introduce themselves and present to their academic peers, students, and research collaborators an overview of their specialist contribution to their field. Inaugural lectures are also a platform for celebrating a professor's academic achievements with their family, friends, mentors, and colleagues. Distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to introduce the Interim Dean and Executive Director of the Graduate School of Business and Leadership, Professor Colette Miller, who will now formally introduce our inaugurant, Professor Anna Martins. Thank you, Professor Miller.
Thank you very much, Professor Reddy, for the warm welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Professor Anna Martins received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communication Science, the equivalent to a UK BA Honours from the University of South Africa in 1991. She obtained her PhD degree in Organizational Behavior, Information Sciences and Management from the Faculty of Science and Technology at the University of Fernando Pessoa in Portugal in 2016. Professor Martins began her scholarly trajectory when she joined the University of Fernando Pessoa in Porto, Portugal, as a lecturer in 1989. That trajectory took her to various universities across Europe, the UK, China, and the Middle East. She joined the Graduate School of Business and Leadership at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, South Africa in 2016 as an associate professor and ascended to the position of full professor in December 2022. She has also previously served the school as dean and head in an acting capacity. Professor Martin's research area is organizational behavior, in particular in respect of humanizing leadership and organizations. The main focus of her research and leadership is the concept of shared leadership and the intersection between technology, values, knowledge sharing, and knowledge creation. She is part of numerous research projects that include members from various countries. She has successfully completed the supervision of 4 doctoral students across the PhD and Doctor of Business Administration programs, and 77 master's students across the Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, and Master of Commerce programs. She has mentored postdoctoral fellows and has published 110 publications in international peer-reviewed academic journals published by Scopus and ISI Index publishers. She has also published book chapters with publishers including Elsevier, Emerald, Springer, Sage Publications, Taylor and Francis, and Palgrave Macmillan Publishing, as well as international conference peer-reviewed proceedings. She is currently supervising 12 doctoral and 4 master's students. Professor Martins has examined a number of master's dissertations and doctoral theses from several national and international universities. She is a member of the editorial board of Scarmago Index journals and is a reviewer for more than 16 accredited journals, as well as a reviewer of annual conferences. Professor Martins has been invited to deliver talks at several international universities. She is an external reviewer and evaluator for quality assurance of academic programs in higher education entities at national and international levels. She is a rating reviewer for the National Research Foundation's applications. She is a reviewer and evaluator of scholarly books and conference proceedings since 2005 to date. She was a recipient of a research grant from the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation in Portugal, and Professor Martins is a member of the Intellectual Capital Association since 2019. On behalf of all my colleagues in the College of Law and Management Studies, as well as in the Graduate School of Business and Leadership, I extend well wishes and hearty congratulations to Professor Martins. Professor Martins, the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Muller. Good afternoon, Professor Nana Parker, our Vice-Chancellor and Principal, Dr. Kathy Clearland, the Registrar, Professor Managay Reddy, Acting Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the College of Law and Management Studies, Professor Colette Muller, Acting Executive Director, Dean and Head of the Graduate School of Business and Leadership, my fellow colleagues of the GSBNL, my students, current and former, the UKZN community, alumni, family, friends, and all who have taken the time to be here this afternoon. A very warm welcome. For me, this achievement of professorship is a corollary of my work, as well as the recognition of all the significant relationships with different people who inspired and encouraged me in various stages of my life. And I'm going to share my screen. Indeed, it is also an overture of what is still to come. In a world that is increasingly dominated by subordination and exploitation of individuals, it is so important to rehumanize relationships in all spheres of life, to bring empathy and trust back into these interactions. Therefore, while preparing this lecture, I reflected on the various themes that run through my research and elected to choose rehumanization through knowledge creation and knowledge sharing as the golden thread. Today, I will share with you reflections of my research journey as we navigate through the lecture. My trajectory in the scholarly world spans over more than 3 decades, and I have had the privilege to do research with colleagues from various universities where I have worked, and these were based in various countries across Europe, in Portugal, Spain, Germany, Wales, in the UK, in China and Hong Kong, as well as in Africa. Therefore, my research is collaborative in nature, and many of the studies include primary data gathered from organizations based in these countries. Indeed, this has created a rich canvas in my career and has afforded me with a unique and fulfilling research experience. I am grateful that I am able to share my passion with colleagues who have such beautiful minds. My collaborative research embraces theoretical frameworks of leadership and technology, with themes underpinned by several theories from the disciplines of sociology, psychology, management, economy, and philosophy. Indeed, English literature, art history, and communication also form the backdrop. I therefore invite all of us to extend the adage that leadership is an art. In order for us to evoke the very essence of being, hence, this is what we shall explore further. The collaborative research that I engage in draws upon various themes, the main one being how organizations handle the shift in paradigm that occurred in managerial principles. The move from the Newtonian age to the New Age and quantum paradigm is paramount in the quest to rehumanize organizations. This quest for developing the individual should go hand in hand with the learning culture in the organization. Leadership and management principles should provide an environment conducive for individuals to explore new avenues and better ways of doing things in the organization. Therefore, humanizing leadership and the organization in the age of technology is the golden thread that I am passionate about. In the research I've done with my collaborators, and here I'd like to thank Orlando Pereira, my colleague and friend, and as well as Isabel, my dear sister and friend, for having been my source of inspiration and guiding force. We have surpassed many vicissitudes in our research journey, albeit we have been recompensed with several publications, including journal articles and book chapters on this shift in paradigm and many other recurring themes. Indeed, this shift in paradigm refers to the movement from the mechanistic-based assumptions of cause and effect, power and control, as well as efficiency, all prevalent in the Newtonian paradigm, predominant in the scientific school of management, which was espoused by Weaver, Taylor, and Fayol in the early 20th century. In this Newtonian paradigm, the organization was viewed as a machine, the prevailing metaphor. The shift continued through to the human relations school, espoused by Elton Mayo, and then the human resource management approach, occurring in the latter end of the 20th century, wherein the circular relationships prevailed within the dynamic systems and complex thinking. This movement has brought with us the more recent New Age paradigm, which also evidences that the strategic intent has shifted to include the humanistic and emotional sides in the vision of an organization, wherein the metaphor of a living organism prevails. This new age paradigm can be achieved in organizations if learning to think is viewed from a different perspective in order to use the full capability of the human mind and brain. Indeed, the paradigm shift, which has occurred over the years and which is the main theme across my collaborative research, has enabled the shift that occurs in both the mindset in organizations as well as in the competitive advantage. In my collaborative research, we argue that technology has a significant core that permeates the essence of human beings, as well as the prevailing character of those societies wherein this logic makes sense. Our argument enables technology to be defined as a distinct branch of humanistic reflection. In this regard, the theoretical frameworks in my collaborative research include Feenberg, 1999-2002, who postulates the nexus between society and technology. This symbiotic nature between technology and humans arises because both are considered as reciprocally coalescent. Indeed, that knowledge which humans create and disseminate, as well as creativity, are precious, valuable, and powerful. This resonates with the notion of abounding productivity, which cannot be relegated to the wayside with the introduction of artificial intelligence and robotics. Moreover, the ecosystem of industries 5.0 and 6.0 is intended to encourage considerable synergy between machines and humans. In our research, we further corroborate with Feenberg, who argues that the public is receptive to technology because social research highlights the new controversies prevalent in specific global issues, such as the impact of global warming, decent work, quality and responsible education, and how these social issues have influence upon the purpose of technology. This brings forth the importance of attributing value to technology. The existential becomes united with the rational. And technology demonstrates that current concepts of global warming have been subjected to manipulation by politics and discussed by the public in general. Our research concurs with Marcuse, who postulates that technology is no longer considered as only a channel facilitating production. Instead, technology has metamorphosized to be a means of capitalistic ideologies. Feenberg further postulates that the role of technology in modern capitalism developed a dialectical perspective, and this embraces the negative and positive usage and effects of technology. So by revamping technology, its area of inquiry can assist humans to obtain their objectives and fulfill their needs. We further concur with Feenberg, who endeavors to align the philosophical substantivist views and the constructivist social sciences when he critiques the existential philosophers, namely Heidegger, Habermas, and Lull, who considered technology to be deterministic, simplistic, and highly speculative. We also corroborate with the constructivist approach, which Feenberg appraises, in that technology is considered only as an impartial mechanism with descriptive narratives on specific technologies within the realm of contradictory historical contexts. Indeed, technological development transforms what it means to be human. We further critique Marx, who postulates that rationalist capitalist production is the theoretical framework on which is seeded the critical approach of technology. While Foucault considers the framework as the prison, and Habermas postulates this framework as the public space, which Feenberg also corroborates, Marx further contends that technology is considered biased and logical. Yet, Feenberg's dialectical approach of technology, which observes the positive and negative outcomes, these are considered technology as an area of constant rebuttal and which is realigned to operate in favor of the desires and goals that individuals have. That angle of technology, which is fundamentally mechanical, is associated with the exploration, dominance, and subordination of individuals, while Grant maintains that technology supports the way individuals think and how they behave in the world. Weber views technology as a cage wherein those in captivity are specialists without a soul, sensual without a heart. Contrastingly, Heidegger postulates that technology performs a framing function and is of the opinion that the very essence of technology resides in nature, which is human and non-human, as well as further demanding that technology should be supported by resource reserves, which can be explored further. We concur with Feenberg, who postulates an unconventional competence in the notion of human-centric organizations, where humans are actively engaged in the creation of knowledge and the power to develop technology. This efficiency is conducive to the holistic well-being of individuals in the organization. Dewey had already postulated this efficiency through the democratization in human creativity and knowledge. Therefore, in our research, we espouse Feenberg's dialectical perspective of technology, Dewey, Grant, and Habermas, who consider technology to be associated with human creativity and knowledge based on organizational learning, culture, and sharing that knowledge. In light of this dialectical perspective of technology, in my collaborative research, we focus on the second generation of managing knowledge. In order to unpack this notion, in 1999, Scarborough et al. Suggests that, and I quote, technology should be viewed more as a means of communication and less as a means of storing knowledge, end quote. In view of this, we are of the opinion that knowledge management is more about people than about technology. Hence, the shift in paradigm moved from the tangible assets to include the intangible assets, also known as the indirect assets, which entail human capital, the individuals and their capabilities, organizational knowledge, customer satisfaction, product innovation, employee morale. These indirect assets do not appear in the financial reports of organizations, yet intellectual capital includes these intangible assets as the principal basis for competitive advantage, with human capital as its primary enabler and catalyst. Our research thus expounds the shift in the source of competitive advantage, which moved the balance of power away from employers to the employees, the individuals in organizations. In my collaborative research, and here, I thank Jay McCabe and Kevin Brown. We draw upon another theoretical framework, which is that of organizational learning, that Ogaris and Shon espoused in 1978 to demonstrate that organizations which apply codified and explicit, as well as practical and tacit knowledge, are able to adjust themselves to their environment because individuals have adjusted their prevailing mental models to new ways of thinking. As individual learning is at the heart of organizational learning, its reference point lies in the individual's cognitive framework. And in my research, we expound on how important it is for individuals to develop their skill set, both hard and soft skills. Organizational learning is fundamental because value is achieved through its people. In 1994, Marzik considers organizational learning as a process of, and I quote, coordinated systems change with mechanisms built in for individuals and groups to access, build, and use organizational memory, structure, and culture to develop long-term organizational capacity, end quote. We further embrace the learning organization theory, which is in alignment with organizational learning, to demonstrate how Peter Senge, since 1990, has been instrumental in creating a new mindset and a new paradigm. In my collaborative research, we focus essentially on the second generation of knowledge management, which takes into account creation and sharing of knowledge and learning, specifically relevant in organizations. Furthermore, in this second generation of managing knowledge, there seems a need to break away with the dichotomy between practical knowledge and factual knowledge. Our research further denotes that there should not be this dichotomy, nor a distinction between the different types of knowing. That is, the know what and the know how. In order to buttress my collaborative research on organizational learning, the learning organization, and the dialectical nature of technology, we have brought in the knowledge conversion model that Nanaka Takeuchi espoused in 1995, and which entails the two essential types of knowledge, the know what, which is the codified, explicit knowledge, and the know how, which is the tacit, practical knowledge, together with the four processes of knowledge conversion, namely socialization, externalization, combination, and internalization of knowledge, which forms the acronym SECI. Indeed, this model is of importance in our research because it enables us to garner whether or not organizations provide the context for individuals to create knowledge. The research that my master's and doctoral students have conducted over the years in order to ascertain whether or not the environment for sharing knowledge prevails in many organizations, including higher education institutions. And the outcome has not been that which is desirable, despite the individuals being afforded opportunities to engage in personal development in those organizations. Our research shows that the organizational culture is not conducive to the sharing of knowledge. Our research is relevant because it intends to show whether or not these four processes occur in the organization in order to highlight whether or not humanness prevails in the particular organization, and where the personal experiences of practical contexts arising from tacit knowledge are shared, and whether or not this knowledge becomes codified in order to assist other individuals in the organization to work more efficiently. And this, in turn, will assist new employees in the company to understand processes. But sadly, our research has found this does not occur. The articulation of tacit and explicit knowledge that occurs between individuals, groups, and the organization as a whole can be further enhanced by observing this 5 eyes model. Together with Orlando and Isabel, in our research, we extended the cross-on 4 eyes model and brought in a 5th eye, namely internalizing knowledge, because we consider this to be the heart of learning and where information flows, thus enabling group and teamwork to prosper. Our research also expounds on whether the internalizing of explicit knowledge enables the individual who immerses this knowledge to embrace or enhance the tacit knowledge base. In this way, formal, explicit knowledge becomes united with personal, tacit experiences, which are then transferred and applied to a particular practical context. This tacit knowledge becomes the foundation for the renewed routines that the individual employee applies in the workplace. This internalizing phase is the foundation for creating new knowledge, which increases the value of organizational structural capital. If this internalizing phase is neglected, then the integrating and institutionalizing phases that Crossan et al. In 1999 and 2011 initially postulate in their 4 eyes model will not produce the expected results, nor will it become the foundation for creating new knowledge. Therefore, we postulate the internalizing process as an intermediate step that absorbs inputs, reflects upon, and internalizes these inputs, allowing this knowledge to be integrated into the organization and subsequently institutionalized as organizational memory. This 5th eye, internalizing, brings to light the cyclical and dynamic creative process that learning involves. In my research on leadership self-efficacy, we focus on the meso level of organizational behavior by ascertaining the relationship between teamwork, organizational culture, trust, commitment, and their impact on performance. The analysis of the Anderson Leader Self-Efficacy Attributes Framework, the Cameron and Quinn Competing Values Framework, and the Nanak and Takeuchi Knowledge Conversion Model has yielded results that can be regarded as antithetical to the desired state of affairs. As organizational culture plays a pivotal role in shaping knowledge sharing and knowledge creation in the organization, the various contradictory results in our research have demonstrated a large cultural gap evident in the human relations and clan dimension. In spite of this culture being focused on teamwork, participation, facilitation, and commitment, which is in line with the competing value frameworks model. The desired state is for organizations to harness the adhocracy cultural dimension, which will give rise to a balance between open, explorative, and creative learning and leadership behaviors arising in those organizations that are flexible, flat-structured, network-based, whilst in those organizations that have mechanistic, hierarchical structures where leadership behaviors are closed, exploitative, and routine in nature, herein prevail autocratic leadership styles. One can further postulate that the new age quantum paradigm, with its integral principles, are aligned to this adhocracy culture, thus promoting their self-organization, wherein trust prevails among autonomous team members. In this adhocracy culture, decentralized decision-making occurs, thus enabling creativity and innovation to flourish. In our more recent research, we draw upon the theory of Abraham Maslow, who postulated the term meta-human in the 1940s to evidence the changes that individuals could be subjected to in organizations when seeking freedom and self-actualization. Additionally, in the 1950s, Julian Huxley posited the philosophy of transhumanism, a term originally coined by Jean Cocteau in 1939. For Huxley, transhumanism is a project to improve humanity through the best usage of science and technology, since the existence of humans has been subjected to numerous vicissitudes in different spheres, among which include economic, political, sociological, and above all, technological. The notion of transhumanism proposes a particular interpretation of the human being, which is associated with the improved and enhanced being. This is in alignment with the humanized leadership metaphor, which is a main theme recurring in our current research. The essence of this metaphor is to enhance the notion that organizations should be honorable, esteemed, and bona fide in nature in order to pursue the fostering of respectable, virtuous life to all stakeholders and to demonstrate a new perspective when appreciating the human element of organizational life. My collaborative research emphasizes that the shift in mindset may be strengthened because the common good is harnessed as opposed to the individual self-interest. In this sense, the inside-out approach, which is based on values, thus enables the organization to rehumanize its strategy as opposed to the traditional way of creating a strategy which is based on the outside-in approach, focused on the analysis of big data. This new age approach to formulating strategy is based on the heart, the tacit knowledge, which is subjective, personal, and is based on intuition, inspiration, and imagination of all stakeholders of the particular organization. In my collaborative research, further critiques are made on the roles of both managers and leaders in organizations and in society at large, and it shows that a mindset based on rank highlights the command and control thinking, which stifles the humane aspects of individuals as well as their intelligence. This mindset has arisen from the scientific management perspective, wherein the leader takes on the autocratic and a military rank-based mindset. In our research, we also evidence that leadership studies tend to concentrate on the individualistic paradigm and emphasize the leader and personality based on the Newtonian scientific management perspective. The main focus of our research, therefore, is to demonstrate how individuals practice and apply their values in the organization. And here I draw upon the managing by values principles that Simon Dolan espouses in 2020, and which we endorse in our research. We also focus on the leader character virtues framework that KwaZulu-Natal et al. In 2017 created in order to denote the shift from the scientific management paradigm to the new age quantum management paradigm. These virtues entail the prudence dimension at the core of personality, which can be regarded as diametrically opposed and which is evidenced in the scientific management personality framework. These frameworks are based on core and essential qualities that were first theorized by Plato, then further developed by Aristotle, as well as the Chinese Confucian philosophy, to include values of courage, justice, humanity, temperance, transcendence, humility, to mention a few. In this regard, and since the Industry 5.0 way of thinking enhances the human-centered and personalized collaboration, this is evident between humans and machines in this industrial revolution, thus highlighting the need for rehumanizing leadership in organizations, which is attained by valuing innovation and creativity. More recently, our research is focused on that which Isabel and I are very passionate about, namely the leadership principles that Mary Parker Follett theorizes. In our analysis of her work, we posit that the Follettian perspective of leadership is akin to the co-leader, leaderless management perspective. Herein, I contextualize the notion and essence of being and meaning. Every situation is always in a process of becoming, just as we, humans, are also in a process of becoming, which Heidegger termed as being in the world, and which is considered authentic existence, whereas inauthentic existence is portrayed when an individual is fulfilling a lifestyle which is predefined by the forces of society. We are aware that our current globalized world as we know it seems to have fallen apart because the values of humanity, justice, temperance have been overlooked in the quest for surplus value. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a compulsory change of how organizations operate. And this triggered the need for introspection. This urgency prompted a fresh opportunity for individuals and organizations to delve into the essence of being, the raison d'être. Being aware that we are alive is our first perception of what it means to be human, and specifically, when I contextualize this meaning to organizations and leadership, in our research, we delve into what it means to be a co-leader. In our research on leader self-efficacy and the competing values framework in IT companies, the self-reporting responses highlighted that when an individual leader understands why she is alive, this awareness occurs through introspection and language. Our collaborative research further demonstrates that leaders experience and are aware of Dasein, which Heidegger refers to, where Da means there and Sein means to be or being there, to highlight that these individuals are aware of their circumstances in a particular time and space. In this journey to comprehend the true meaning of being, which is the essence of leadership, the individual as leader embodies Dasein and becomes aware of one's true self and future self. Our research further demonstrates that in the exploration to understand the notion of being, we need to be aware of time in order to contextualize situations. This connection is established in our research by positing the Philetian perspective of meaning of a situation, which is linked to the elusive nature of both time and the situation itself. We also draw a nexus with co-leadership, leaderless management principles, which concentrates on social interchange by espousing the co-leadership characteristics of being in the world, in organizations, projecting care and concern. These are the ontological constructs associated with being and assaying that embody authentic existence. Therefore, this authentic existence gains meaning when individuals are aware of their distinctive human beingness. In an organization where everyone is actively involved, then the notion of a single individual as a leader becomes superfluous. We further espouse the notion of co-leader, characterized as an individual who shares this leadership, the authority, with other individuals in the organization. Follett posits, and I quote, "Authority follows the function, belongs to the job, and stays with the job," end quote. The perspective that we termed as the Philetian co-leadership, leaderless management principle, wherein the concept of being is the essential component, is a fundamental paradigm to be prevalent in all organizations and all sectors of the economy. Therefore, this Philetian perspective focuses on that authority which is based on knowledge and not on power of position. It is power with that builds on integration, that Follett attributed enormous importance on collaboration, shared purpose, commitment, and intent. She was of the opinion that long-term sustainability engages individuals on the path to seek common good and take into account the community. Our research shows that organizations require to rehumanize their leadership and managerial principles and values in order to foster an environment imbued with humanity and values-based principles akin to this Philetian co-leadership, leaderless management perspective. As we have seen, my collaborative research demonstrates, therefore, the imperative shift in the ontology of leadership to move away from being a profit-related economic activity to one which embraces the collective good instead of the personal individual gain. In this regard, the Philetian perspective of co-leadership, leaderless management principles focus on the importance of collective consciousness, where leadership prevails in a group and not in a single person. This pragmatic worldview that Follett postulates and which we espouse in our research embodies the holistic and human-centered paradigm, which is further corroborated by Paul Freire, who postulates that responsible education is associated with humanization and which has praxis at its core. Humanized leadership is a metaphor associated with this praxis. My collaborative research has also found that the main challenge organizations have in developing their employees is due to the unpreparedness of these individuals who, despite having a qualification, the so-called hard skills, nevertheless are unable to handle the practical situations in the company as their soft skills set is limited. Therefore, my collaborative research continues to highlight the need to achieve a more holistic model in education, as well as of learning and talent development in organizations by going beyond competency models. Indeed, when the paradigm becomes a dominant logic, then proactive leaders arise and take this new quantum paradigm into account by viewing the employee as an individual who should be the heart, brain, and the hands of the subsystems in which the unpredictability of change is linked to the microworlds, the so-called subsystems, leading to the harmonious functioning of the whole organization. We know that capable individuals are considered inimitable human capital for organizations. In the New Age paradigm, as my research espouses, the individual's quantum self is both a particle as an individual person and a wave as a partner in the organization. And therefore, this quantum self plays an equal and fundamental role along with all other stakeholders. This quantum philosophy enables self-creation and self-recreation, which is the purpose of life. In 2022, Zohar states that, and I quote, "What we are or are doing now is always entangled with what else we can be or might be doing, is the Bohmian view," end quote. And this can be linked to the Philetian law of the situation. Quantum thinking in this new age paradigm enables individuals to dance the change in organizations by innovating, being creative. In our research on intellectual capital and the importance of individuals in the organization, we draw upon the notion of this quantum self that Zohar posits and which can be matched with organizations because the tridimensional levels of self include the intellectual, the emotional, and also the spirituality of both humans and organizations. Our research also evidences this tridimensionality that enables individuals in the organization to handle complexity, uncertainty, ambiguity. This is present in our ability to work in teams, to strive for perfection, and in those human abilities that develop human creativity, lead to higher levels of performance, and especially well-being. Our research also focuses on quantum management when considering organizations as conscious, living, biological energy systems with a sense of purpose, with values and aspirations. It's all important elements of adaptive and self-organizing capabilities. The self-organizing systems entail self-management through integration and efficiency. In a systems thinking age, interaction occurs between these elements, thus enabling innovation to arise through freedom of choice due to flexibility and not domination. The New Age quantum paradigm thus emphasizes this flexibility and inclusivity. The notion of practical tacit knowledge that I emphasized earlier is associated with the concept of phronesis or practical philosophy, which is considered a vital competency required for co-leading. Indeed, practical philosophy is the very essence of consciousness and affords the individual with the capability to correlate lived experiences in order to understand a new situation in life. This practical philosophy, imbued with intellectual virtuosity, enables individuals to arrive at decisions that are contextualized and in favor of the common goal. These quantum management principles need to be instilled in learning. For example, in business schools, learning curricula need to be revisited so that learners may be instilled with a humanized, ethical, and quantum skill set. This is only the beginning of how to embrace this new age paradigm with a self-organization mindset. With this new paradigm of quantum uncertainties, conveying the humanistic perspective, leadership should emphasize teamwork, empathy, creativity, systems thinking, which foster a sense of belonging to a large whole. In essence, this new age quantum paradigm enhances a rebalancing and rehumanization of leadership in organizations. Positive co-leadership gives rise to innovation, which nurtures the path to sustainability and responsible organizations. This is also imbued into society at large. The fundamental elements to achieve organizational sustainability are humanized leadership, embracing technology as the main conduit. And this brings me to the end. I express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone that has been here this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Martins, for your captivating and didactic lecture, which clearly illustrates the importance of humanizing leadership in organizations in this age of technology. Your presentation makes explicit that the symbiosis between profound change and human capital competence drives creativity and innovation. It certainly provides ample grounds for thought in what is one of the most dynamic eras in the history of humankind. So thank you very much indeed, Professor Martins, for your excellent lecture and for challenging us all to rethink our approaches to productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to also thank our colleagues from the Corporate Relations and ICS divisions and the Registrar's Office for their logistic and other support. Finally, dear guests, I want to warmly thank you for attending this important lecture this afternoon. I wish you a good afternoon and goodbye.